To all of us, depending on wherever you're connecting from. My name is Deborah Dalasia Kutotamaklo, a research analyst at Asset, and I will be moderating today's learning series. I have an interpretation booth, so if you'd want to listen to us with the French interpretation, you can just use the global button beneath your screen and then click on interpretation and then choose the French as an option to listen to the whole event in French. Thank you all for joining. So as we know, education has and always played a crucial role in the national development of a country, and it's the foundation to transform a nation and has a significant impact on various aspects of its development and the future. Today, we gather here to learn and also discuss how delivering Uganda's revised lower curriculum is transforming its education landscape and preparing its youth for a seamless transition into the future workforce. We'll be hearing from various panelists across our YES-PACT countries and also beyond as well within the continent, who will be sharing their experience with us, lessons learned, and some advice that, Uganda can take on from there in that implementation process of the lower revised secondary curriculum. So I'm happy to say a very big thank you to all of you for joining us. And I'm happy to also welcome you to the learning series. So I'll begin today's by acknowledging all our panelists and our speakers who are joining in today. So we have the manager of the secondary department at the Uganda National Curriculum Development Center in the name of Sima Gilbert Gift from Uganda. We also have the Global Education Advocate, who is also the YES-PACT Uganda chapter member in the name of Jackie Namakula. From Uganda, we have our TTEL Curriculum Implementation Teaching and Learning Coordinator in the name of Alberta Taki from Ghana. We also have the Principal Curriculum Development Officer and Head of the Languages Department Unit at the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, in the name of Genevieve Mensah from Ghana. We also have the Head of Department Curriculum Development and Learning at the Rwanda Education Board in the name of Juan Mirungi from Rwanda. And our final panelist is in the name of Ernest Sitshebo, who is the Principal Materials Production Officer at the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education in Zimbabwe. A very warm welcome to all of you for accepting our invitation to serve as a panelist and for joining us today in the YES-PACT Learning Series. I would also want to extend a very warm welcome to our CIS country chapter members for joining us today in the YES-PACT Learning Series for us to learn and discuss Uganda's revised lower secondary curriculum. I would proceed to introduce one of our very own, Mona Idrisu, who will be giving us the welcome remarks for today's YES-PACT Learning Series. So Mona is the head of the YES program at Asset, Youth Employment and Skills, where she oversees our project that helps African countries create an enabling environment for developing youth skills and to also meet the current and future job demands. Mona is an international development expert and economist with extensive work experience in research and generating evidence-based learning across various sectors relevant to youth, including youth employment and job creation, entrepreneurship, education, and 21st century skills development, youth governance, agriculture, and youth in technology. So ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome. And we're passing over to Mona Idrisu to give us the opening remarks for today's learning series. Mona, over to you.
Thank you, Debbie. And Debbie is a significant part of our youth employment and skills team here at Asset. She's my very excellent coordinator on the YES-PACT initiative. So for those who have stuck with us all year round, this is the 4th edition of our learning series and the final one for this year. So I, for one, I'm proud of the work that the YES-PACT community has done along the year, particularly around these learning series. So the idea behind this learning series is our ongoing efforts to exchange knowledge, share innovative solutions, and enhance skills development across Africa. So not necessarily limited to just our YES-PACT partners, because increasingly these learning series events are attended by our wider YES community. So I'm delighted to welcome all of you today and all protocols observed for our distinguished guests and various stakeholders that are joining us today. So for those who are tuning into our learning series for the first time, the Pan-African Coalition for Transformation is one of our flagship programs here at ASSET. And for the YES-PACT, which is the Youth Employment and Skills portfolio for the YES, we are seeking to drive peer learning across our 6 countries that we work in, which includes Uganda. And we look at addressing common challenges around youth employment and skills. We have over 90 active members. And in today's session, we'll be looking at how we can drive conversation around the revised lower secondary curriculum for Uganda. So we're going to have our resource persons, thanks to Mr. Gilbert and Jackie, who will be taking us through some of the elements around the work that Uganda has been doing around revising its secondary curriculum and implementing it. As we all know, youth employment or youth unemployment is a pressing challenge across Africa. And we know that Africa is a young population. In Uganda alone, 75% of the population is still under 30, which requires our emphasis on skills-focused policies. If we strengthen our education system, we can address some of the skills gap before they enter the job market. And we will be helping to minimize some of the underlying issues that contribute to the unemployment situation that we are witnessing. So later on, our resource persons will take us more into, but just a bit of a background. In 2020, Uganda introduced the curriculum to shift from a theory-heavy education to a competency-based one, which is focused more on practical skills, problem-solving, self-reliance, all that 21st century skills issues that we encourage that school curriculums should embed. They have since gone into the implementation, and in our YES-PACT Uganda policy brief this year, and the work that the YES-PACT Uganda chapter has been actively working with the ministry and other key stakeholders on, is around looking at the implementation challenges since the curriculum revision has been rolled out. Some of the issues that were identified include the limited teacher training, so need to strengthen teacher training along the new curriculums and the elements around the curriculum. Also around bolstering ICT infrastructure, because again, there's a deficit in that direction with only about 22% of schools having reliable internet. There's also the issue of assessment challenges, because teachers have to adapt to understanding and applying the new assessment methods that come with the new curriculum, amongst other issues. So today we'll be talking about that, and we have our panelists. Thank you for joining us from Ghana, from Zimbabwe, from Rwanda, who will also be contributing because they are also quite active in their space and line of work around curriculum development and implementation. So we'll be hearing from our panelists after the presentation from our resource person. As usual, this is in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation, who are our sponsors for these learning series. So we thank, they couldn't make an appearance today, but we thank them for the continuous partnership. And I, for one, I'm looking forward to an engaging dialogue. As usual, our chat section is open. Please, throughout the learning series, this is also an opportunity to network. So please go ahead to introduce yourself, and any questions you have, do not hesitate to pop it in the chat box. I encourage active participation so we can learn from each other. And I look forward to a productive and inspiring session ahead. Thank you all. And back to you, Debbie.
At this moment, we're going to proceed with the main order for in the name of Sima Gilbert. So, Sima Gilbert's gift is a seasoned education specialist with over 14 years of experience in curriculum design, development, and implementation. He currently serves as a manager for the secondary department at the National Curriculum Development Center and continues to play a crucial role in shaping secondary in Uganda. As the founding head of the ICT department in the National Curriculum Development Center, Gilbert has played a pivotal role in integrating information and communication technology, ICT, into Uganda's educational curriculum. He has been instrumental in the development of ICT policies and oversees the digitalization of educational content, including the subsidiary ICT syllabus for secondary schools. He has contributed to numerous consultancy projects, partnering with organizations like UNICEF and UNESCO to enhance ICT integration into education. Gilbert's leadership and project management skills has helped secure grants for digital learning, innovation, and e-learning systems in Uganda. He's also an accomplished researcher with peer-reviewed publications on curriculum and ICT integration into education. Ladies and gentlemen, very warm and a great welcome to Sima Gilbert, who would be presenting on today's theme. Hello, Gilbert. If you're here with us, over to you. You can
Thank you very much, Deborah, for that warm introduction, and the members online. You're most welcome to our discussion today, Uganda in particular, and looking at the lower secondary curriculum. And for purposes of making sure that we get a very good discussion, I will try not to be fast, but also try to keep a good pace in such a way that we cover what we are supposed to cover in the time that we have planned to cover it. Yes, those are my names, Gilbert Gift Sima, and as introduced, I am working with the National Curriculum Development Center in Uganda as the manager for secondary education department. Now, about the lower secondary curriculum, the lower secondary curriculum is the first curriculum reform for secondary education in Uganda. When I say the first curriculum reform, some people might start thinking, so you mean, what exactly are you trying to say? What I'm saying is that from the time the British in 1918, it came with a curriculum from the colonialists, and this curriculum is what formed the foundation for formal education in Uganda and the rest of the countries that were colonized. Ours was 1918, and over the years, there were some changes made, and these changes were not equivalent to a curriculum reform. The changes were mainly remove this subject, add this subject to address this topical issue, but the general framework for the curriculum remained the same. That's what I mean by saying that it is the first curriculum reform for secondary education in Uganda. But over the years, we've had revisions in terms of, or revisions informed by education commissions. If I can quickly take you through just a brief highlight and what these revisions were about. The first was the Phelps-Stokes Commission, 1924. And as I mentioned these years, please take note that Uganda got independence in 1962. So in 1924, we had our first education review, and the findings indicated that the curriculum that was being followed was too academic and lacked the ability to provide tangible skills to students who were undergoing that curriculum. And definitely after such a recommendation, efforts were made to introduce some skills-based subjects. One of them was technology, and this led to introduction of things like handiwork. The next education review commission was the Bean Study Group in 1951, which noted that the standards of education were low, but also building on from the Phelps-Stokes Commission, noted that the people, the students, and even the stakeholders did not like technical education. And secondary schools were to conduct both academic and practical courses, more or less reinforcing the earlier one. 1963, we still had another commission. Now remember that Uganda got independence in 1962. So the commission of 1963 was to make sure that the education is restructured to enable the newly independent nation carry on with the work and also train a workforce that will carry on after independence. And there were other commissions in between there that were small, which I felt were not so significant. And that leads to the major review that happened after independence, being the one led by Professor Sentaza Kajubi in 1989.
Hello. Yes, yes.
And this was...
Hey.
Okay, the administrator might need to mute Joan. So the Kajubi Commission of 1989 basically focused on education systems and how the systems were going to work. And this was taken to Parliament and adopted as the Education White Paper or Government White Paper on Education in 1992, which mainly adopted or made adjustments to the Kajubi Commission. And generally, secondary school curriculum was found not to be having the skills that the population at that point needed. And the development of the country was so rapid, and the recommendation was there was need to do the vocationalization of education, which is not far away from the recommendation of 1925 by the Phelps-Stokes Commission. Now, following that, Uganda committed to review the curriculum at secondary level. But before reviewing, other additional studies were made. A curriculum situation analysis was done in 2012, which confirmed that actually the curriculum was not adequately addressing the contemporary needs of society. But in addition, a labor market survey was done looking or focusing on O-level graduates to see how are these O-level, whoever leaves lower secondary, where do they go? What do they do? And what kind of skills are needed in those places where these graduates go? And the O-level graduates, they were found that they needed to be more trainable. They were more oriented into academic work, but the trainability was low. And they were not as task-oriented, but they were more oriented towards achieving high academic qualifications. They were found not to be good team players, and they did not have good time management. So, the labor market survey recommended that these skills be integrated in the lower secondary curriculum in order to make it very relevant to the needs of the people and of the society and of the labor market. And that also included communication skills as a key skill that was found to be necessary. Now, this diagram, I can talk about it for a very long time, but I'll try to keep it brief. Our curriculum before was mainly knowledge-based. Knowledge-based meaning that the amount of knowledge you acquired was used as a measure of success. The teacher was the source of knowledge. If you look at the green box showing the teacher was a main source of knowledge, and this knowledge was cascaded to the students, and the measure of achievement was determined by the grades you got at the end of cycle summative assessment. That's what this diagram is all about. The teacher as the source of knowledge, you disseminate this knowledge to the students, and the students, the measure of success is measured in terms of the grades achieved at the end of cycle assessment. And when the new curriculum was being drafted and developed, it had a number of key issues to address. One was to change that design, the one I've just showed you, from teacher-centered or leaving the teacher as the source of knowledge to learner-centered, to focusing on the learner and focusing on learning to make sure that learning has taken place. Because previously we had statements like, I've covered the syllabus. Irrespective of whether learning has taken place or not, but emphasis was on, have you covered the syllabus? And two, another key issue of this transition was emphasizing on experimental learning. And the curriculum designers adopted Kolb's sequence of learning, focusing on discovery, explanation, analysis, and application of what has been learned. And the main question that this new curriculum was to focus on was, what is the learner able to do as a result of attending or being part of the learning process? And following that, This is now the design of the competency-based curriculum that is being followed. What is key, or what is being emphasized, is the activity, the learning activities that the learners go through. And these learning activities are forcing the learners to discuss. The learner can discuss with fellow learners. The learner can discuss with the teacher. You realize that this diagram has a little bit more arrows, very many arrows that are connecting the teacher to the learner, the teacher to the activity, to the stimulus materials, and there is a lot of feedback and connectivity. And that's how our learning is structured at the moment. So from 2020, as has been introduced, we changed the learning. Where we used to have learners sitting in rows and columns, the sitting arrangement was changed. Unfortunately, I forgot to show a picture of the recent sitting arrangement. But now learners sit in circles to enable learner-to-learner interaction, to enable the discussion to take place, to enable learners to give feedback each other. And also learners participate in assessment of fellow learners' work, such that the learner is central to the entire learning process, as opposed to the previous one where the teacher was central to the learning process. But at the end of it all, summative assessment is still maintained. Another aspect that was introduced is an aspect of continuous assessment. And this continuous assessment contributes 20% to the end of cycle summative assessment. And this is going to start appearing on the learner's certificate. And maybe for information, our first cohort of learners under this curriculum have just finished their end of cycle assessment. So we expect their results to be released, the results under this curriculum to be released next year in January. So with that, the key events for the development and rollout, for us to make that change. Now, I am talking about this diagram and how it translates to make the shift from the knowledge-based to competence-based, where we are emphasizing what the learner is able to do. We had to do the following. The curriculum developers that we had at NCDC had trained under the knowledge-based system. So they had to undergo training for them to understand and appreciate what a competence-based system is all about. And this training was not a one-off. We rolled out this curriculum in 2020, but the training started as early as 2012. So we were training at the same time developing. Training and developing. And also, we had to develop the curriculum documents. These included the curriculum framework, because we are changing from the earlier framework that was introduced by the colonial administration to a new framework which we felt would address the issues the society had. Also, we had to develop new support materials, curriculum support materials in terms of textbooks, teachers' guides, one of the key highlights was the introduction of learner-centered teaching and learning approaches. And therefore, we felt that it would not make sense to keep the same textbook. So we developed a new set of textbooks that was introducing to the teacher the learner-centered teaching and learning approaches. We had to carry out teacher training of the teachers. This also took us quite some time. And the training of the teachers was done using a cascade model. We first trained a few national trainers, 90 in number. 90 national trainers. Then these national trainers, together with staff at the Curriculum Development Center, trained other master trainers because our target was to cover the entire country. After training the master trainers, so we used these trainers to reach out to the different regions of the country to train people from the school level. So every school was requested to send 4 to 5 teachers to be part of the training. We are looking at a country that has more than 2,000 schools, 2,000, even much more than that, schools scattered across the country. And therefore, we had to, not to 20,000 schools, not 2,000, more than 20,000 schools. So we had to get a good number of teachers or support force, support us in that training. And then these people, the school champions, carried out the school-based teacher training and continuous support. In our experience, we are here to share experiences. We have, as a curriculum stage of the Drake model, we have experienced every stage of the Drake model. What do I mean? From the time we rolled out, we had people who were in denial. The biggest percentage of the country was in denial. And they told us things like, this will never work. What was wrong with our earlier approaches? Our previous system was very good. Why are you changing it? We went through all those. And then we had a point of resistance, serious resistance, where people withdrew, where people asked us, who gave you permission actually to even change the curriculum, much as the Constitution gives us the mandate to change the curriculum? What kind of people are these who are changing the curriculum? What is this learner-centered thing? It cannot work. We have seen people who have tried and it has not worked. Therefore, this one will not work. We had all sorts of anger expressed through social media, expressed through the daily newspapers, expressed through the radio, talk shows, and others. And then some people also said, but wait, the schools, when we rolled out, actually, we had some schools which refused to take on the new curriculum. They kept teaching the old one. But some tried it out and they started sharing the experiences. So when learners started going out with projects and sharing with their parents how this works, then some started coming on board. And finally, very many right now have committed. So we have gone through each of these stages of the Drake model. And I must say that our change has not come in a straight line. It has been up and down. The main lesson we've learned is continuous stakeholder engagement for such changes is key. And you cannot run away from it. Even up to now, we are still engaging the stakeholders, guiding them on the changes. Some have not gotten it right. We are still guiding them on how it should be done. We are still developing supplementary materials to guide on project-based learning, what to do, how to carry out the projects, and so on and so forth. What you can take from us, or one lesson, you could have picked many more, is continuous stakeholder engagement is key if you're to make a change similar to ours, or even better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sima Gilbert. That was a brilliant presentation from you. And it's great that you've been able to, give us the history of how the curriculum for Uganda, particularly for the lower secondary level, came about, how it's going, the revision process, the criticisms, and all the feedback you received. And being so good, it's great to hear that it's been able to move from, past all these challenges, and we've gotten to the revision level where it's now being implemented. I believe that Uganda is going to continue to strive to, continue with the implementation process and also accept some of the challenges that comes in the way, as well as some of the criticisms that would come along with it. So before going on to Jackie, we're going to proceed to display the YES-PACT portal. So as we continue our journey towards accelerating economic transformation across Africa, we think that it's crucial that we make the most out of the resources and the tools that we have available to us. And one of them is the YES-PACT portal that we have created. We are thrilled to introduce this PACT portal to you. In the chat box, you're going to find a link to how to register onto the portal. And then we hope that this would be a go-to central hub where everyone can share their insights, best practices, progress updates, and also recommendation on the YES space and what we do within the YES-PACT network. Actually, this platform has also been designed to manage centralize and disseminate knowledge across our networks as well. So yes, Thomas, do we have the portal video ready?
Welcome to the PACT portal, your gateway to accelerating economic transformation across Africa. To log in, simply check your email for the login link, choose a password, and enter your credentials to access the PACT portal. Here, members gain access to a wealth of resources, including progress reports, toolkits, forums, and more. Dive into our collaborative platform to connect with like-minded individuals, share knowledge, and drive impactful change. Together, we can transform policies into action and propel Africa towards sustainable development and prosperity. Contribute your insights, expertise, and innovative ideas to YES-PACT's collective knowledge base by submitting an article. Share valuable external articles or research relevant to YES-PACT's mission by submitting external insights here. These can be external resources you believe will be beneficial to the community and PACT chapter members. Discover the dynamic forums on the portal. Engage in insightful discussions on YES-PACT initiatives, policies, and strategies in our dynamic forums. Remember to engage with responses by replying to comments and encouraging further discussion. This way, we can all collaborate effectively and drive impactful change together. Explore detailed reports tracking the advancement of economic transformation efforts alongside practical toolkits. Stay up to date with chapter members, view photos and videos of past events and engagements to see YES-PACT in action. Explore more. Explore our website and discover all the features designed for you. For any assistance, feel free to click the Contact Us at the bottom of the screen.
Thank you everyone for your time. So at this juncture, we're going to have a presentation by our complimentary speaker in the name of Jackie Namakula. And Jackie is a global education advocate and also a YES-PACT Uganda chapter member. Jackie is an education officer at the Mango Senior High School in Kampala with over a decade of experience in teaching profession. She's passionate about, advocating and also an active practitioner of Uganda's revised lower secondary school curriculum, dedicated to promoting quality education and sustainable development through the Global Schools program. So here we have Jackie, who would be serving as our complimentary speaker for today. Hello, Jackie. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Deborah, for that introduction. Yes, I'm Jackie Namakula, and a global schools advocate and Mango Senior School. It's raining this side. I really hope I can be loud enough for. Is it loud enough?
Yes, we can hear you. It's good.
Nice. Yes, so I'm here to talk about the teacher's perspective when it comes to delivering Uganda's revised lower secondary school curriculum. Yeah, when the curriculum was revised and rolled out as the curriculum, competence-based curriculum in 2020, we received it with mixed feelings. Some teachers thought, okay, now what is this? It is very new. They felt it was too abrupt, and they felt that maybe the ministry or NCDC was forcing it down on them. So they really wanted to stay in the old way of doing things. Some felt it was just a waste of time. It was too westernized and needed to be practiced in schools with low student numbers. But schools with big numbers, teachers felt that wouldn't work. Others also felt, well, let's try it and see what it required so that we can try it out, while others were just indifferent towards it. At the moment, some years down the road, Deborah, if we could go to the next slide, please. Yes, that was the first impressions. And then the next slide for the benefits. Right. So at the moment, some years down the road of practicing the new curriculum or the revised lower secondary school curriculum, most teachers generally agree that the competence-based curriculum has positive impact on the learners. Since it's competence-based, teachers feel that learners are confident, they are becoming more patriotic, more responsible, and lifelong learners who can add value to their communities. As we practice the competence-based curriculum, there are areas to do with research. There is a lot of project work. There is a lot of discussion. Even the way the students are supposed to sit in class, they're supposed to sit as groups. They sit in groups so that they can do the discussions. And then the continuous assessment, teachers agree that this kind of learning process is preparing the child for the life outside secondary level schooling. Another benefit that we recognize with the competence-based curriculum is on the side of the parents. Parents are now taking an active participation in the school affairs of their children. Previously, in the knowledge-based curriculum, most parents would just send children to school. But because the competence curriculum is more engaging and parents have to be around most of the time. So we feel that there is a lot better parent engagement when it comes to school activities and what the child is doing at school. So this is a good strategy for accountability and discipline. Parents are following up on what the children are doing. Next slide, please, Deborah. Yes, the curriculum is also putting skills at the forefront. Yes, as Mr. Sima has pointed out, these curriculums, one of the goals of the competence-based curriculum is to prepare a child so that even if they dropped off from school at a certain level, they can do something for themselves and sustain themselves, maybe be able to create jobs. So we feel that the competence curriculum is doing this. We have areas of DIT, Directorate of Industrial Training. These skilling programs have areas like plumbing, hairdressing, motor vehicle mechanics, electricity. So when schools that have that kind of program, in addition to under the competence-based curriculum, we feel that it's really developing the skills and the children are benefiting a lot. And this is an area that parents really love about the competence-based curriculum. So overall, we feel that learners across the country appreciate the connection between subjects and the complexities of life. Like there is a need to conserve the environment, there is better health awareness, children's rights, and life skills. Something that was a bit missing from the old knowledge-based curriculum. So because this curriculum has that kind of setting and the learning areas in it, we feel that children are getting closer to understanding and being an active part of understanding global issues and other complexities of life. Yes, those are some of the benefits that we are acknowledging and seeing about the competence-based curriculum. We can go to the next slide, please. Yes, we are also having some challenges as we implement the competence-based curriculum. One of the challenges is the teacher's mindset. For decades, we've been having the knowledge-based curriculum, and now we have the competence-based curriculum. So some teachers feel they're not ready to shift. They're not ready to get into anything that is, giving them any more extra work, and they feel that it is really demanding and they're not ready to adjust. So we have an issue of the negative mindset towards the competence-based curriculum on the side of some teachers. Yes, we also realize that the CBC has a heavier workload. The teacher has to be on ground all the time. Yeah, the continuous assessment items, or the KAIs, some of them are activities of integration, and then the subject assessment, and then the project work. This can sometimes be very, very overwhelming on the side of the teachers. Now, when it comes to schools that have very large populations, some schools have over 5,000, 6,000 students. Doing some of these things gets a bit very tricky and complicated. So the workload gets too much for the teachers, and they feel this is really getting tight. Another issue that is really being a big challenge is the use of ICTs. On the part of the teachers, some teachers lack the basic ICT skills and knowledge. Yet the curriculum really needs someone with knowledge of ICTs, use of ICTs. So it gets tricky. And in some situations, the children are far ahead of the teachers when it comes to ICT knowledge and use of ICTs. So when the person delivering the curriculum is lagging behind in means of implementing it or some means of delivering it, it becomes a bit tricky. Of course, that is also in addition to some areas that are rural, distant areas, rural areas that have issues with electricity and access to the internet. So that becomes an impediment when it comes to research and an efficient learning environment. Yeah, parents, yes, some parents have come up, but we still have issues of some parents still lagging behind. They really have no clue what the competence-based curriculum is all about. They are having some issues tracking their children's performance because the scoring changed from the old system, the knowledge-based curriculum. When you compare it with the CBC, the scoring is a bit different. Even the way the scores are reported. So some parents are really totally off when it comes to the part of the challenges. The next slide on the challenges. Yes, the expenses, we feel as teachers and some school administration that the competence-based curriculum is a bit expensive regarding materials and equipment, since it's a highly practical curriculum. Areas like project work and practical subjects like home economics, textiles, music. When some schools cannot fund the full amount for these materials, parents are expected to come in. And then convincing the parents that you have to pay something becomes a bit tricky. Yes, another challenge is around the library. Yeah, some books are not enough. Yes, the government provided some of the books, but some books, some libraries are still lacking some of the books that are needed. And then the promotion to the next class is also a bit a tricky area, because with the competence-based curriculum, automatically every child is supposed to be going to the next class. So sometimes children may take it for granted that they don't need to maybe work a bit harder so that they qualify to move into the next class. Yes, those are some of the challenges that that we look at as we implement the CBC. Right. The opportunities that we have as we implement the competence-based curriculum, at the moment, it is a very big advantage. It's a good thing that the Uganda National Examination Board has had its training countrywide. By this time, they have already completed all the regions that they were supposed to work on. So this countrywide training has really helped adjust teachers' perspectives and attitude towards the assessment of the curriculum. There was a very big issue on how it is going to be assessed, but the training has helped to settle such questions. So teachers feel they at least know how they're moving. In addition to that, UNEB scorers. Previously, they were called examiners, and now they're called UNEB scorers. They've also already been trained and coordinated on how they're going to handle the first national end of cycle assessment items of the CBC. Yes, the pioneers of this curriculum have just completed their national exams. So we are all waiting expectantly as teachers and school administrators. We are waiting to see how the final end of cycle assessment is going to be like. So it is a very big advantage. It's a very big opportunity that UNEB has already done training for the scorers that are going to work on that task. And NCDC is also continuing to monitor the training of trainers and how the master trainers are carrying on the responsibility of training other colleagues in their schools. This monitoring is helping to check if they're doing a good job and then to make any adjustments as the need arises. And then we have the research bodies like EPRC. They're going down on ground and checking what is really going on regarding the implementation of the CBC. The findings they are getting are informing the government and other stakeholders. This is very important because when such findings are shared, then it's going to influence policy decisions in a positive way. And we hope that when these findings worked on and policies are influenced positively, then we know that it's going to be a better story for the competence-based curriculum. So we want to appreciate Dr. Medina and the entire EPRC team who are part of that team that is going down and really checking what is happening with the implementation of the curriculum. We can go to the recommendations, please. Yes, as recommendations, teachers, we feel there is an urgent need for training in ICT's knowledge and use. So we recommend that that is done. And then also more school inspection by the bodies that are concerned so that we keep track of what different schools are actually doing down there. We may have a broad picture of what is happening, but getting down and really looking into the particulars of each school is really going to help to improve the CBC overall. And then, yes, more books and reference materials also need to be sent to the schools. Yes, some people don't have knowledge of the curriculum, the competence-based curriculum. In the communities, you ask someone what is the lower secondary school curriculum, and they really have no idea what it is, but they know that they're sending their child to school and they're doing something called competence-based curriculum. So we recommend that community sensitization can be done. We can take advantage of mass media platforms like broadcast media, TVs and radio stations. And then the top administration, head teachers and deputies also need to get more intensive training about what is happening in the CBC. Teachers in the staff room are doing their job in the classes, but we've noticed that some of our bosses really don't know some areas of the CBC. So we recommend that the top administration can also go through some kind of more intense training so that implementation is done more efficiently. Yes, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of the group today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jackie. That was a brilliant, presentation from a teacher's perspective to delivering Uganda's revised lower secondary curriculum. And I would want to proceed we're going to have shortly on our screens the surveys that will be run shortly. So we'll just take a moment to look through the surveys and then just click here and there as to our satisfaction and how we think the program is going. So moving on, your feedback would be incorporated into the future YES-PACT Learning Series in 2025. So just take a few minutes and then just quickly answer the questions on your screen in the pop-up. So we'll just give ourselves about 2 minutes to do that. And then we're going to introduce the panelists for today's discussion to, discuss and then just answer some few questions that we have, or, for them to also share their experiences with us in line with Uganda's revised lower secondary curriculum and also the experiences that they have had in their various countries revising or working on their country curriculum within the secondary and the lower secondary level. So we'll just take about a minute more to complete the survey and we'll begin introducing our panelists for today's learning series. Thank you. All right, so would want to say a welcome back to everyone, and we're going to proceed with introducing all our panelists for today's YES-PACT Learning Series. I'm very excited about this session, and I hope you are too. So first on our list is Alberta Saki. Just a quick one. So we have the French pop-up survey on our screens as well for our French speakers to also interact with the survey. So just, to go back to introducing our panelists, we have Alberta Saki with us. Today we have Genevieve Mensah. We also have Ernest Sishebo. And then we also have Juan Murungi with us. So Alberta is a TETL curriculum implementation teaching and learning coordinator. She's an education, curriculum and development professional with a wide range of experience and, planning experience in developing curriculum materials to ensure effective implementation of curriculums in school. 17 years experience working in the Ghanaian education sector with 4.5 years working with the Ghana's Ministry of Education and its agencies. That's the Ghana Education Service and the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, to develop and roll out a new senior high school curriculum and pre-tertiary education curriculum from kindergarten to primary 6. 3 years providing institutional level support to colleges of education in Ghana, and 9 years working to develop and strengthen educational research at the tertiary level with Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. A very warm welcome to you, Alberta Saki. Thank you for joining us today. Moving on to our next panelist is Genevieve Mensah. Genevieve Mensah is an accomplished education professional serving as the Principal Curriculum Development Officer and Head of Languages Unit Department at the National Council for Curriculum Assessment, that is NACA in Ghana. She is also a trained teacher with a deep commitment to advancing literature and language education. Since Genevieve joined NACA in 2017, she has played an instrumental role in shaping curriculums that meet diverse learning needs. She has coordinated numerous literacy initiatives, collaborating with educators to integrate global citizenship education into curricula and classroom practices. Her expertise extends to the development of the instructional resources, including textbooks, workbooks, teachers' guides, and strategies that enhance literacy skills across various professional levels. A very warm welcome to you, Genevieve Mensah. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for making time. I would also want to introduce Murungi Juan. So Murungi Juan is joining us from Rwanda Education Board, and Murungi is the head of curriculum teaching and learning resources in Rwanda. Before this, she was a lecturer at the College of Education at the University of Rwanda. She holds a bachelor degree in educational planning and administration, a master's degree in policy analysis in education, also at the Witwatersrand University in South Africa. She has also done extensive studies in the field of women and post-conflict reconstruction Rwanda. Her research experience also is in the area of both education and women's studies, specifically education and women's studies in the Women in Post-Conflict Reconstruction and Peace Building initiatives. A very warm welcome to you, Juan. Thank you for joining us. We understand you've had a bit of technical challenges, but we're getting that resolved, and we're glad that you're still here with us. We hope to hear from you soon during the panel discussion. And I'm going to introduce to us our last panelist, who is joining us from Zimbabwe. Thank you, Ernest Sishebu, for joining us. So Ernest is a seasoned educationist with over 30 years of experience specializing in TVET, Currently, he serves as the Principal Materials Production Officer at the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, the head office in Zimbabwe, within the Technical Education section. So he's also an expert in curriculum development and the production of teaching and learning materials. His initiatives include championing technical high schools and championing technical high schools with design and technology as a core learning area, integrating artificial intelligence into TVET, and introducing aviation studies at the HEX course in secondary schools. He has also facilitated teacher training in computer-aided drawing and design skills. In addition to that, great professional achievements, Ernest is a published writer, a poet, a book editor, and a reviewer. He's also passionate about human rights, activist, philanthropist, life coach, and a youth advisor who is dedicated himself to mentoring students and advocating for education equality. Thank you for making time to join us today, Ernest, and a very warm welcome to you. So I'm going to begin with you, Alberta. Thank you for joining us today. Knowing you've had, very great and extensive experience in curriculum development and implementation in Ghana, working with TTEL, I would like for you to also proceed by sharing your experience with us following presentations from Seema and Jackie, and would also want to know what are the key strategies that you believe are essential for ensuring that a new curriculum or even a revised curriculum is successfully adapted and consistently applied across schools, particularly in regions with limited resources. Over to you, Alberta.
Thank you very much, Deborah. I particularly enjoyed the presentation from Seema and Jackie, and I picked a few things. At the end of Seema's presentation, he said continuous stakeholder engagement is key if you want to make change or make it better, what they have done in Uganda. And I think they've done very well. What's one of the things I picked up from their recommendations and their challenges are things we've actually worked on in Ghana, and I'd like to share a few things about that. One of the people in the chat box, I think Yaye Woku, said that it is not enough to just design a curriculum. What is important is that you implement it effectively. And that is one of the key things I think we are trying to do here in Ghana, not just the curriculum, but what do you do with the curriculum and how do you ensure that it is implemented effectively and it is assessed properly. I think the first thing we did is that we ensure that the teachers who teach in secondary schools are part of the writers. Once you do that, you have a whole team of advocates who are embedded in the system, who understand the curriculum, understand the materials, and can actually champion the training, champion in their schools, and champion it in their areas of expertise. So across the 700 schools that are implementing the new curriculum that NACA has introduced, you realize that there are a number of teachers who understand it and are actually leading the training that are going on in the schools. The second thing we did that is quite different from what Uganda did is that we learned lessons from Cascade. We didn't use the Cascade method in this new curriculum. We used professional learning community sessions. Each week, teachers in schools meet for 90 minutes. And in that 90 minutes, they discuss the new curriculum. In that 90 minutes, as group and subject groups, they sit down, they plan, and among themselves agree on how they are going to teach, agree on how they are going to assess. With that, the curriculum is introduced periodically, and then we get the change we are looking for. One of the things that Jackie said is mindset. If you introduce it every week and every week as they are discussing, the mindset challenges you are having is addressed in that situation. So that was one of the key things we're trying to introduce. When it comes to assessment, year in, year out, you notice that the WASI, that is the West African Certificate Examinations that learners write at the end of their 3 years in secondary school, is 90% recall. Year in, year, 90% recall. How do we get out of poverty if all we do is recall? for this new curriculum is actually only 30% recall. At the end of the 3 years, assessment is just 30%. So then what is the 70? Where is the 70 left? The 70 left is application and critical thinking. You cannot cheat your way if you're supposed to think critically. So these are one of the things that WYEC is trying to do. Recall will just be 30%. The examination will focus on applying the knowledge you've learned and quickly thinking about cases that you can solve. The other thing that we also introduced is a transcript system. Sima mentioned that in Uganda, it's 20% of the continuous assessment. Here in Ghana, for the senior high schools, it's actually 30% of continuous assessments, which is going to be spread over 3 years, and it will cover a transcript system. So at the end of the 3 years, you not just get a WASI results slip, you also get a transcript. So you use both documents to either get into the world of work or you get to further studies. Aside from that, I also agree with the communication. And with NACA and the ministry, continuously, there has been engagements across the country, from the universities to parents, to teacher unions, to learners. All throughout the country, there are a series of engagements, whether in the local language or in the English language, so that everybody understands what this new curriculum is about. Everybody understands the things we need to take home so that they can appropriately enroll their children in schools and they will understand what they're supposed to learn. I'm going to share the link for some of the curriculum materials in the chat box. If anybody is interested in the new curriculum that the ministry has introduced, and then the learner materials that are accompanying them, they can go to the website and have a look at it. You will ask me, what are learner materials? They are actually materials that in lieu of textbooks. So textbooks takes at least 2 years for it to get to schools. And this is a new curriculum and textbooks are not ready. So we've worked with the national subject associations and the teacher unions to come up with the learner materials. These are in the soft copy form so that it will help the learners improve their ICT skills. Teachers will also improve their ICT skills. And they are supposed to be using these online in class and after class so that they can support themselves in the introduction of the new curriculum. So I'm going to share that in the text box. If you're interested, you can look at it. If you have any questions, you can reach out to it. So these are, in summary, some of the key things we are doing to make sure that the curriculum is implemented effectively in Ghana.
Oh,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you so much, Alberta. It's great that you also mentioned that about 70% is also left for the application of knowledge and the critical knowledge, because I think my time in school in Ghana, I think that was one of the things that we lacked, critical thinking. It was quite difficult even on the lower level. We just were used to, the theory-based mode of, learning. And then should I also, put it on the teacher perspective as well, theory-based mode of, teaching and learning. And that was a bit difficult moving ahead and knowing how things have changed with time. It's great to hear that. So I'm going to come back to you, but then I would move on to Genevieve. Genevieve, hello, are you with us? Great to see you. Yeah. All right, so Genevieve, you are with NACA, and I believe that you're one of the hands-on, working people when it comes to the curriculum, particularly for the secondary and the lower secondary level, which is the primary level, the junior high level in Ghana. So what are some of the key, strategies from Ghana's curriculum reform that is yet to take place that you would recommend to Uganda in addressing the gaps in teacher training and also ICT integration to enhance the curriculum delivery?
Yeah, thank you, Deborah. I want to thank Alberta for that insightful presentation. Her focus was mainly on the senior high school, and I would like to pick it up from the junior high school, because looking at Uganda's education system, their lower secondary is split for us from the junior high school up to the senior high school. And so listening to the presentations from the first and the second speakers, I think they have done well. and I commend them for their work. Generally, I would say that Uganda and Ghana share similar successes and challenges. But then I would like to focus on the strategies that we use to overcome some of the challenges that they mentioned. Number one, about the cascading approach for the junior high school curriculum, which is common core curriculum. We also use the cascading approach, but then we realized that at the end of the day, the information that we needed to get to the school level had been watered down a bit. And so with the introduction of professional learning communities in schools, teachers are able to overcome those challenges. Now with the professional learning communities, every week teachers meet for about 2 hours, and then they discuss their challenges where they didn't understand the curriculum. That's the time they used to study and share ideas about the curriculum that they are teaching, which is helping. And then moving on from that, for pre-service, teachers in pre-service institution, training colleges or training institutions, what we didn't do initially was to just design the curriculum without a recourse to the content that the colleges of education are learning. And so currently, with support from our partners, the College of Education curriculum is being restructured to align with the standards-based curriculum so that before the teacher comes out of the college or the training institution, they are already aware and are equipped with the skills to teach this new curriculum, which is learner-centered, which focuses on practical activities so that the children will be able to do something with their hands, not only focusing on cognitive skills. One area that I want to touch on is that with the ICT, even before the ICT integration, previously we had issues with our supervisors that we used to call circuit supervisors because of lack of understanding of the curriculum. Virtually now, capacity building has been organized for all school leaders, head teachers, and circuit supervisors. Again, their name has been changed to school instruction support officers. So the focus now is to support the teacher to deliver the curriculum, not just to go to the schools and find faults with what they are doing. And this is helping a lot. Teachers are actually commending this initiative. Now with ICT integration, yes, one of the focal areas in the curriculum is the integration of ICT as a pedagogical tool. What it means is that the teacher needs basic skills in ICT to be able to deliver these new lessons. The teacher also needs devices, the equipment to do just that. And so the government has applied laptops to teachers under the initiative for One Teacher, One Laptop. And so currently teachers can boast of at least a laptop to be able to prepare lessons and deliver lessons. That is not all. There has been basic training for teachers on ICT use. One of the agencies of the ministry, the Center for National Distance Learning and Open Schooling, that we call CENLOS, has designed training programs on ICT use, and they are training teachers to be able to do this. Apart from that, they have online platforms. For instance, they have the learning passports. They recently have technology-enabled open school systems for primary 1 to junior high school teachers, where teachers enhance their training skills in ICT use. They also have platform, the iBox, where teaching and learning materials have been uploaded, and it's offline and online. So teachers and students in areas where there is no electricity can access these materials to support the implementation of the curriculum. And so we are kind of making progress by taking up these initiatives. That notwithstanding, we are also thinking about the fact that you cannot implement this without policies. And so Ghana has taken steps to develop what we call ICT in education policy. And then currently, with support from UNESCO, we have ICT competency framework for teachers, which aligns with the global competencies and standards. And the aim is to help train teachers in basic skills to be able to deliver the curriculum, because the center of the whole curriculum is about the use of ICT. If you want to compete with the global community, we cannot deliver our curriculum without ICT use. One of the strategies that I would want to mention, which is key, is collaborating with partners or funding agencies, national and local. This is a great thing that has supported Ghana's implementation of the curriculum. And so we have partners like UNESCO, UNICEF, USAID, GTEL, and many more. They are actually supporting, they are on the ground, supporting teachers, school leaders, like my sister Abeta mentioned. Most of the beautiful things he mentioned has been supported by a GTEL. And so I would want to encourage our brethren in Uganda to also leverage the partnership they have, the collaboration they have with funders, so they can achieve their objective. Government alone cannot support an effective implementation. Governments can do their best, but with the support from partners, implementation becomes very, very easy. And so, in summary, I would say that yes, standard-based curriculum is focusing on skills, but you need factors such as resources, you need factors such as capacity building for teachers to be able to deliver. So I'll pause here for the moment if there's any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Genevieve. It's great to hear that there's also the online and offline, software that is able to enable teachers, use that in delivering the curriculum in their respective schools. And I believe that the ICT in education policy would also enable that as we progress and move on within the digital space. So while we are thanking TTEL and Alberta for contributing and also greatly supporting the ministry on that front, I also want to take the opportunity to also thank Dr. Madina, the EPRC team, for the work that they have done in Uganda, particularly around the 2023-2024 year on the YES-PACT, and also delivering the Uganda's lower curriculum implementation process that have taken place, and also identifying some of the gaps that they have, been able to come up with in their concept note and the policy brief within the implementation process. So thank you so much, Dr. Madina, and thank you very much for the great support that you have given to us here at ASET, and also for the YES-PACT Uganda in also putting this event together. So I'll just move on to Ernest for now. So Ernest, you're joining us from Zimbabwe, from the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. Before you share your experience with us within the next 5 minutes, I'll just want to, just highlight that Uganda's revised curriculum also aims to align education with the demands of the fourth industrial revolution. Now, based on your experience in integrating AI, artificial intelligence, and other emerging technologies into TVET, while also looking within the lower secondary and then the secondary level, what lessons can Uganda adapt in bridging its gap in digital infrastructure and also ensuring equitable access to technologies in their schools? If we listen clearly to Jackie's presentation, I think these were one of the challenges that she outlined. The fact that there was not, enough ICT or enough technologies within the schools when it comes to that infrastructure, and also the teachers being able to adapt to it. So I'll just take the question again, that based on your experience in integrating AI and other emerging technologies within the TVET, and now we're looking at the lower secondary and the secondary level, what lessons can Uganda adapt digital infrastructure and ensuring equitable access to technology in schools.
Thank you. Thank you, even the previous speakers. Thank you for the presenters. Zimbabwe's Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education has made some significant strides in integrating technology into TVET. These are some of the key lessons for Uganda. These include infrastructure development. As a country, Uganda needs to invest in digital infrastructure, such as computer labs at its schools. I understand there are over 20,000 schools, so it should strive to invest into that. Should also work hand in glove with private partners. You need that public-private partnership to engage in internet connectivity and provide digital resources so that the schools are engaged in the gear to get on the train of the fourth industrial revolution or the 21st century skills. Number two, on teacher training, Uganda needs to provide comprehensive training for teachers on emerging technologies, such as artificial intelligence and digital pedagogies. As a country, Uganda needs not to be left behind this trend in technology. Number three, Uganda needs to align its curriculum to ensure TVET curricula incorporate emerging technologies, such as AI, Internet of Things, and data analytics. Fourthly, there's need to have equitable access. The country needs to implement initiatives to bridge the digital divide, such as e-learning platforms. These have worked so well in Zimbabwe. And even during the COVID lockdown, these were really helpful to the country since there were no live lessons. There's need to also provide equitable access through mobile applications so that learners access it in a good way. There's also need to provide offline digital resources. In Zimbabwe, we have three main platforms. We have what you call the learning platform, Learning Passport, with support from partners. We have what you call Pro Futuro. We have what you call Dzizopaden, meaning learning at home. These are offline digital resources where learners and teachers can access the information. There's need for monitoring and evaluation, where the country needs to establish robust monitoring and evaluation frameworks to assess the effectiveness of digital infrastructure and TVET programs. So Uganda needs to adopt these strategies to bridge gaps in digital infrastructure and ensure equitable access to technology. There's also need to have involvement of parents as vital stakeholders in the education system and involvement. As Zimbabwe, with our curriculum, we involve them during the development of the curriculum framework. such that they were taken on board, and the teachers as well, so that no one was surprised. So people then had to accept the curriculum as it was, because they all owned it, because they were part of its making. I rest my case.
Thank you, Ernest. That was a good case, well rested. So, Alberta, I'm going to come back to you just to find out how important is, the institutional level support in curriculum reforms, and what types of, supports do you recommend to enhance teacher preparedness and curriculum effectiveness. But before that, I'm going to go to Juan while you prepare for that. Juan, if you're with us, can you just, give us a hi so that we know that you're connected? Juan, do we have you here? Okay, so while we await Juan's return, I'm going to come back to you, Alberta. You've had, the experience with supporting colleges of education and worked to strengthen the educational research space. So yes, back to the question, I would like to hear from you on how important is the institutional level support in curriculum reforms, and what specific types of supports do you recommend to enhance the teacher preparedness and curriculum effectiveness in the case of Uganda?
Uganda, okay. So I'm not sure about if everything is under the NCDC, but for here in Ghana, curriculum is written by NACA, and it is implemented by the Ghana Education Service. So the structure is quite different. So you have various institutions playing different roles, and it's actually monitored by NACA. So you need to work as a team to ensure that the curriculum is implemented effectively. For the senior high school case in Ghana, everything is monitored around the Ministerial Oversight Committee, actually. So all the agencies that work under the Ministry of Education actually meet every month and discuss progress for implementation. So it's immediately identify where there are challenges, and then it is addressed immediately. And then the institution or the agency that is responsible for this particular activity gets support from the others, and then they're implemented. The work I did with the colleges is actually also linked with what Genevieve said about the pre-tertiary, the kindergarten to the JHS curriculum. For teachers who are trained for these, you cannot have teacher training going on that is not reflected in the new curriculum. So once you change the curriculum, you need to make sure that institutions training teachers who are going to teach these curriculum do that immediately, so that you don't churn out teachers on the old curriculum. And for the colleges of education, that is what we did immediately. I'm pleased to also say that for the current senior high school, the universities are actually prepared for that, because they've actually put in steps to revise their the curriculum they use to train their senior high school teachers. And as we speak, they are with the GTEC, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, for assessment and approval, so that beginning the next academic year, teachers are going to be trained on the new curriculum that NACA has been developed. So it works hand in hand. You cannot do one and leave the other, otherwise you have problems going forward.
Great, thank you so much, Alberta. So at this moment, we would like to leave it open for Genevieve, for Ernest as well. Do you have any advice that you'd want to give to Uganda? Alberta, you're also open to contributing as well. Any last words of any advice or recommendation that you'd want to give to Uganda briefly in just a minute? Genevieve, do I start with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you. My advice will be for Uganda to engage parents effectively, but engaging parents is key for these reasons. One, resources provision can never be done by the government alone. Government is key. And so engaging them to understand their role and responsibilities will facilitate the implementation of the curriculum. 2, the curriculum focuses on the development.
Hello, Genevieve. I think you're muted. Can you unmute?
Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so I mentioned
You're
that.
speaking on engaging parents.
Yes, engaging parents is key for the following reasons. 1, resource provision. Parents have a role to play when it comes to providing resources to support their learners succeed. Government will do their bit, but that responsibility the parents must exhibit has to be done, and this is through engagement and helping them to understand their role. Without understanding what they have to do, they will appear to be unconcerned. 2, the curriculum is focusing on socio-emotional learning development, and this skill is supposed to be modeled to a higher extent by both teachers and parents. And so once we engage parents and get them to understand what strategies they have to use to support teachers in this direction, we are good to go. And so, and then again, apart from engaging parents through the parent associations, there should be intentional community engagement or DEBES, where they come face to face with parents to let them understand their role of the in the implementation, and also the benefit that they stand to gain when they contribute their quota. And so, in brief, that is my advice to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Genevieve. Ernest, are we good to go? Any last words?
The way challenges in the cascading of Uganda's curriculum, in Zimbabwe, we've done it through teachers' associations, whereby cascading was very easy in the sense that every teacher is required to be part and parcel of the association. Every teacher is a member. So we have national forum, we have provincial forums, we have district forums, we have school level forums, so that no one will be left. Everyone will be taken on board. And the assessment, you find that it is threefold, in the sense that we have the continuous assessment, which is two-pronged, in the sense that we have school-based projects, which are quite practical, using local available resources. Then we have profiling, starting from ECDA, early childhood education, up to the upper secondary, whereby teachers then find out the strengths and weaknesses, or even career paths of the students, of the learners. And then later on, the last assessment will be summative. So the three of them will then form a total person, such that a learner would have been channeled during the school system, will have been identified their career and then channeled in that field of their career in life.
All right. Thank you so much, Ernest. That was a brilliant, closing on that. Thank you so much, Alberta. Thank you, Genevieve. Thank you, Ernest. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Sima. So at this point, would want to apologize for, going a bit over the time. We promised to close at 12 p.m. GMT, but it's now 12:16. So we're going to wrap it up quickly. I'm going to bring in Dr. Madina, who is a senior research fellow at the Economic Policy Research Center, EPRC, in Uganda. She focuses her extensive research on gender, climate change, education, and poverty, with a PhD in economics from the University of Dar es Salaam. She actively engages in numerous governmental technical committees, and national task forces contributing to policies on sustainability and development. Her affiliation with various national and international bodies underscore her significant role in shaping research and policy in Uganda. Hello, Dr. Medina, if you're with us, would pass it over to you to give us the closing remarks.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you to the entire panel and to the champion in Uganda, Sima and Jackie, for the wonderful insights that are created. I'm pretty sure that if Jackie and Sima were given chance to give back these insights from what the panelists have shared, probably this discussion can go up till evening in terms of getting to know into the detail of what has been covered. But ideally, I believe some of the suggestions that have been actually suggested, I'm pretty sure that Sima and team have tried all that. Because in Uganda, as someone said, the National Curriculum Development Center's mandate is to create curriculum. And then we have the Uganda National Examinations Board, whose role is to do the examination of the end result. So they're supposed to be working together. And then the Education Review Commission, they're supposed to look at all these things in terms of putting into policy and then also doing a bit of research around these elements. So I ideally think if we go through all these, we can share experiences of some of the practical examples they've given. And I think some of the things that have been shared is to open our minds and to ensure that how best do we go forward, given that training is continuous and engagements are also continuous, as Sima and colleagues have said. So ideal, of course, as a research institution, given now that this is what we're doing, I think we have our messages kind of cut off clearly on how best we shape our engagements with the decentralized system of government that are actually implementing and training these teachers, and how do they best engage parents, as someone has also emphasized in this engagement, because some bit of it, given that the levels of literacy do change. There's some parents are highly literate, some are not. So when you're trying to pull resources on all these sides, you have elements of the willing and those who are non-willing. If they paid school fees, that's all they need to know. So ideally, we need to work hand in hand. That's what I've taken away from here. And also colleagues are going to be implementing it together with Gilbert and Jackie and colleagues who are also on board. We thank everyone for having attended. And we thank for all the insights. I see online people interested in knowing how they can join the YES-PACT. I think that's something from the Ghana side, asset team. How best do people join the pact? Because seems as a pact is, in schools, a pact has an element of there is supposed to be like an indoctrination that's required. So to join these systems. So members, my job is easy. Thank you again for your insights, for your candid discussions, for your sharing experiences, and for your time created to be here today. We wish you good deliberations going forward and hope to engage again in the next learning series as we go ahead. Thank you, Deborah and team. They say adios or bye. Akwaba, Ghana.
No, that's a welcome. So I think we'll say yes.
All right. So and thank you in whatever they say from Zimbabwe. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Medina. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Would kindly look forward to our next YES-PACT Learning Series in next year. And just as we have shared in the comments or the chats box, we have the link for you to register to joining on the YES-PACT portal while we continue conversations. We have a pop-up on the screen on the survey for those who have not yet interacted with it yet, to also just take a minute and interact with it. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.